Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve podcast takes a close-up look at controversial subject matter and hot-button topics, adding humor, cynicism, and a dose of reality to the stuff we're not supposed to talk about anymore. Politics, religion, sex, gender identity, violence, corruption. Nothing is left unturned in this lighthearted approach to information dissemination. The world is experiencing a pandemic of cowardice. 80% of people do not believe the craziness they've been coerced to agree with. Grab a friend, grab a beverage, and dive in with us as we take on the narrative and blast social stigmas with truth. Here are your hosts, Patriots Ray Amanat and Steve Reed.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, America. Welcome to Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve. For those of you that are out in social media land, YouTube land, Facebook land, hey, I'm Ray Amanat with Heroes in Action, of course, and also your host of Taboo Talk, and my co-host, Mr. Steve Reed, somewhere in an undisclosed location in northern Texas. Steve, are you there?
I are here. So, Ray, what is wrong with you today?
Oh, I don't know. What is wrong with me?
You are twisted.
Grogu?
You are twisted. Ray.
Hi, little guy.
Ray, we have a guest today.
I know, Grogu.
Yeah, no, I mean a real guest. We need to bring our guest in. Why don't you introduce?
Disrespecting Grogu?
Ray, come on. This is a serious show. Okay,
Grogu,
this is a serious
matter.
matter.
Sit and watch. Okay,
this is a serious matter.
We'll
Right?
Later. All right, we have a longtime friend of the show, longtime friend and friend of the show. This is, I think, his third visit to our show, Mr. Jeff McKissack. How are you? He's with Defense by Design, and a whole bunch of other things. He's a man of many hats. Speaking of hats, Steve,
Well, Ray, we've got one of those.
You're a man of many hats too.
Well, our conversation today really is going to be out of this world. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it, but I'm ready. I am ready. Okay,
so
let's get on with it.
You want to give our viewing and listening audience a little bit of a hint, if they can't watch. No. Mr. Tinfoil.
Tinfoil hat. If they don't get it, I'm sorry.
Hey, nowadays that could apply to a number of topics.
But that is true. Whether it's another Trump indictment or Hunter getting off with a slap on the hands and then not slapping, and then Devin whatever, and said, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah, so you have 10 reasons. You have 10 reasons for foil now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So we're not talking about conspiracy theories today.
We are?
No.
Are you sure about that?
I'm positive about that. I've got the foil hat, so I'm ready to get the reality.
So, Jeff, you want to let everyone know a little bit about yourself again so they can reacclimate themselves to all things Jeff McKissack?
Oh, that would be scary in itself. I'd need the tinfoil hat for that one. But no, I began my career back in 1987 working with an investigative reporter and producer for 2020, 60 Minutes, and NBC News. But it was dealing with violent crime and exploitation type topics. What we're talking about today is just been a long time since childhood fascination with the topic of what have been called UFOs, now UAPs, to the point that last August, I started speaking across the Dallas-Fort Worth area, predominantly in Rotary clubs that were having me come out. In fact, 2 more booked me this week. But it spun off other engagements where, for instance, this month I'm speaking to a men's group at a prayer breakfast at one of our larger Presbyterian churches in the area. And a few months ago, got invited because of one of the Rotary clubs to speak at a private pilots association here in Dallas, about 20 private pilots, some of them with former military experience as well. So the spinoffs to that have been incredible. I've written an article earlier this year in which I interviewed Dr. Gary Nolan, who those that follow this topic will know his name at Stanford University on this topic, because he's been one of the faces seen quite a bit in these stories. So what was a childhood fascination has become into a very real academic research pursuit for me, and following this phenomenon and reporting on it.
And the phenomenon is, you said UAP. What's a UAP? United Association of pedophiles?
Okay, we're not going. I was about to say we're not going to touch that. That would definitely be a pun into itself. But no, UFO, for those that didn't know, now has a new acronym, and the media's actually screwed this up. Go figure. Last week on several occasions, UAP is the new acronym that did for a while stand for Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. But as of about January, February this year in 2023, it now stands for Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena. And the reason for the change is that some of the phenomena as it's manifesting, first of all, isn't necessarily structured craft. So we're not sure what it is, these orbs of light or other things, but also the fact that it has transmedium capabilities. In other words, these are things that have been seen in space, seen in the air, yes, but also seen underwater. So they've created this Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena acronym to kind of try to capture all those new elusive dynamics of what is being experienced, whether eyesight, radar, sonar, or other points of analysis. So now it's UAP, Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena. That's at least the name they're going by now.
And they're using an acronym because nobody can spell anomalous phenomenon.
Let alone say it, but yeah.
You can say phenomena, but I'm going to think phenomena. Phenomena.
Oh man, I should have gotten that video too. That would be great. So the next time, anyway.
So speaking of videos, we've got a lot of little video bites from last week's hearing in Washington. Why did they even have a hearing in Washington, D.C.?
Because about
UAPs or UFOs.
About 5 or 6 weeks ago, a gentleman named David Grush came forward with some incredible allegations of the government hiding both craft that has been recovered, as well as even potential, what they referred to last week as biologics related to the potential pilots of said craft. And he made his claims in front of the Inspector General several years ago. And when the Inspector General of the intelligence community looked at this, he forwarded his recommendations onto Congress to look at this and hear him out, calling his allegations both, quote, credible and urgent, end quote. So that's why it's taken a couple of years for it to get to this point for the hearings, but we finally had them, and oh boy, were they interesting.
Okay, so before I show this first video, the timing a lot of people think is suspicious. That it's to take the Hunter, Devin Archer, Joe Biden, Trump, all of that stuff off the front page, but it's not working.
No, those that say, oh, this is just a distraction. Well, if it is, they failed miserably, because most mainstream media has not covered this much at all. You have to go to independent news sources to really find out what happened last week and to delve into this, and the people who are doing the digging. Now, will the mainstream eventually come around? I think they will as these hearings progress, and they are going to be progressing in the next several months to the Senate as well. But if it happened a couple of years ago, oh, it'd been a distraction January 6th. Oh, it's a distraction to COVID. No matter what was going on in the zeitgeist, this story had been supposedly a distraction to it, as if somehow this popped up overnight. If it's a pop-up story, it's a 75-year overnight pop-up story. This has been brewing for 75 years. Finally, we're getting some.
I'm going to go do a video on that, Ray. I'm going to a video. Hang on, guys.
And again, the sacrifice that each of you have made. I serve on the National Security Subcommittee for the Financial Services Committee, so I really want to stay in the national security lane, if I may. So when we think about traditional adversaries and both us towards them and them towards us. We probe their capabilities. We look for weaknesses, and we collect that data, that reconnaissance for in the event we need it in the future. For each of you, yes or no question, based off of your own experience or the data that you've been privy to, is there any indication that these UAPs could be essentially collecting reconnaissance information? Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Mr. Grush?
Fair assessment, yeah.
Mr. Fravor?
Very possible.
Again, in the national security vein, is it possible that these UAPs would be probing our capabilities? Yes or no, Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Grush?
Yes,
Fravor?
definitely.
Is it possible that these UAPs are testing for vulnerabilities in our current systems?
Yes.
Yes, possible.
Do you feel, based off of your experience and the information that you've been privy to, that these UAPs provide an existential threat to the national security of the United States? Mr. Graves?
Potentially.
Yes, sir, potentially.
Same answer, potentially. Yeah, I'd say definitely, potentially.
Mr. Graves and Fravor, in the event that your encounters had become hostile, would you have had the capability to defend yourself, your crew, your aircraft?
Absolutely not.
Sir?
No.
Is based off of the information that you've been privy to, is there any indication that these UAPs are interested in our nuclear technology and capabilities?
Yes.
By external observation, sure, that could be a fair assessment, yeah. Yes.
Is there any indication that the Department of Energy is involved in UAP data collection and housing?
I don't have an answer.
I can't confirm or deny that in a public setting.
And could you do it in a secure setting?
Yes.
Mr. Fravor?
No, I don't know.
Mr. Chairman, I think I'm the last member to go, but there clearly is a threat to the national security of the United States of America. As members of Congress, we have a responsibility to maintain oversight and be aware of these activities so that, if appropriate, we take action. I would encourage the chairman to demand that we have any and all, but in particular Mr. Grush, talk to us in a skiff. And if that access is denied, I will personally volunteer to initiate the Holman Rule against any personnel or any program or any agency that denies access to Congress. Mr. Chairman, with that, I will yield the remainder of my time to my fellow colleague.
Okay, so that's some new information.
Yeah.
I'm wow.
For
There were
two
some
of them,
bombs dropped last week for sure.
for two of them that say that they are not able to defend themselves against these UAPs, how are they going to go on the offensive if they see it again? I mean,
Yeah.
what are they going to do?
Nothing. In fact, one of the interviews, I'm not sure if this one included or not, but Commander Fravor, who was the head of the Black Aces Squadron off the Nimitz in 2004 that had the quote-unquote tic-tac experience, he was asked, do you think if you'd fired at this, it would have had any effect? And his comment was, no, it just would have left. In other words, it would have been gone before whatever had been fired at it, the bullets, the missile, whatever, had even had a chance to make contact. It was moving that fast.
That's amazing. All right, so what is a Holman Rule?
That was significant. I had, of course, and I heard that buzzword. I went to Wikipedia and pulled that up. Say, okay, what is this Holman Rule? And the interesting thing is, when you look at it, Wikipedia, literally just since last week, and you scroll all the way down to the history, it says this rule was just hinted at its use in the recent UAP UFO hearings in D.C. So it's actually referenced on Wikipedia from being mentioned. But the Holman Rule is a rule in the United States House of Representatives that allows amendments to appropriations legislation that would reduce the salary of or fire specific federal employees or cut a specific program, end quote. Which means what Representative Ogles was saying is if we run into interferences we've had with this and people are denying us access, they want to enact a rule where those people either could have their salaries reduced, they be fired or their department be basically disassembled.
Can we implement that for the Department of Justice, for the FBI, I mean, education, for that's
my gosh,
powerful.
Just the fact that it had that level of gravitas.
Wow.
And I cannot emphasize this enough. It was bipartisan. If you watch that whole proceeding at that hearing last week, when you have Matt Gaetz on one side and AOC on the other, who are both on the same page asking questions that complement each other with absolutely no contradiction or politics involved, I think it's time we start paying attention.
Okay, now Jeff, you do know why that they were on the same page, because AOC probably thinks that Matt Gaetz wants to date her.
I'm not going to go into that.
Jeff, how do we know that these aren't our technology or Chinese or Russian technology from
Ray,
projects?
It's funny you bring that up because, Steve, I think we have some clips to address that, don't we?
We do, but before we do, I am remiss. I got to put our disclaimer up here, and I got to watch the clock because we're going to have to take a break pretty soon. So this is an opinion-based program, okay? Yep. It's based on the three of us. It doesn't necessarily agree with sponsors or networks or anybody of that sort. Sometimes our guests agree with us, sometimes they don't, but this is an opinion-based program based on the facts that we have at hand. Okay, so disclaimer done. All right, so I'm going to take that down, and we'll go back and we'll do clip number 2 and see what number 2 has to say.
Mr. Graves, again, I'd like to know, how do you know that these were not our aircraft?
Some of the behaviors that we saw in a working area, we would see these objects being at 0.0 Mach, that's 0 airspeed, over certain pieces of the ground. So what that means, just like a river, if you throw a bobber in, it's going to float downstream. These objects were staying completely stationary in Category 4 hurricane winds. These same objects would then accelerate to supersonic speeds, 1.1, 1.2 Mach, and they would do so in very erratic and quick behaviors that I don't have an explanation for.
I don't know what to say.
These are our best pilots flying our best equipment, tens of millions of dollars worth of technology that we've put up there for them to pilot. And this is what they are saying.
Ray, I'm speechless.
Well, I mean, it's some of the pilots are equivalent to what is it, like the Maverick that it was
Commander Fravor for sure. Top Gun, he was a Top Gun instructor.
Yeah,
You're talking about a Top Gun instructor, basically Maverick, that had that encounter with the Tic Tac off the coast of California back in 2004. And he's going to appear in a couple other clips we have coming up. I mean, at what point do people start actually looking at this and taking it seriously and getting away with the X-Files music and all the joking and snickering and elbowing each other on the set of the news? This is being taken quite seriously by Congress, and it needs to be taken a lot more seriously by both the media and the general public.
Well, and just for a point of clarification, they're talking about a Tic Tac shaped object, not TikTok, the video platform.
Yes, Tic Tac, the candy shaped, not TikTok, the tool from China. Yes.
Right. Excellent. All right. So, but just point of clarification.
And a good one.
With that, we need to take us a brief commercial break. So hold on, folks. If I hit the right button.
Hi, welcome to Heroes in Action. I'm Ray Amanat, founder and creator of this training system. I originally made it so that everyone can train for free. We have programs for kids, for women, families, and businesses. I'm an author, speaker, and educator on everything that has to do with violence and bullying prevention education. If you'd like more information about who we are and what our programs are, please go to our website at heroesinaction.us or give me a call if you have any questions at 727-314-2534. We hope to see you here to train.
Ray, would your self-defense, or Jeff, would your self-defense work on any of these sorts of things?
I'm going to do a Commander Fravor or David Graves. I'm going to reach up and hit my pretend microphone and go, no.
Well, there's my standard comment would be there's only one way to find out.
I wouldn't want to choose that way with something like that.
Exactly. Oh man, oh man, oh man. All right. So Ray, I understand you've got some new trainings that you're doing, and it's probably another client that's calling to schedule an appointment with you.
Actually, it is.
But the latest thing, you know, we've all seen the goofy commercial, I've fallen, I can't get up. Okay. But I understand that you've got some new training that you are doing for people that may have disabilities. Maybe they're on the ground. Maybe they're incapacitated in some way, and you're helping people overcome those things.
One of the things that I always say in my lectures is the last place you ever want to find yourself is on the ground. And then I ask people, how many of you have ever tripped and fell? And most people raise their hand. So we're going to dive into all of the what ifs. What if I fall? What if I get taken down? How do I fight for my life to get back to my feet and get back to a safe place? So that's what this seminar is going to be about. It's not, people ask me, is it jiu-jitsu or judo or anything like that? It has nothing to do with that. We're not going to be doing submissions. We're not going to be doing anything. You're fighting for your life. So this is based on no rules. You do whatever you can to get off the ground and get to a safe place. And we are excited to be doing that coming up August 19th. It's on a Saturday from 10 to 12 o'clock at our training facility here in Port Richey, Florida. And if you would like us to bring this training to your area, just give us a call or email us, and we'd be happy to talk to you more about how we can set that up.
Ray, keep talking. You guys need to talk. I'm getting Jeff. I hope you don't mind, because I know people are going to want to reach out to you. So I'm going to put your email in here if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So you guys keep talking, banter for a moment.
So, Jeff, I know you've done a lot of seminars yourself with regards to personal safety, and you've got a vast martial arts background. What are your thoughts on this?
On which?
It's the what if I fall.
Well, I'm totally agreeing with you. Last place where you want to be is on the ground. And while tip of the hat to the people out there in the mixed martial arts community and the BJJ community and others, I think what they do is fantastic. Apply that to an attack scenario on the street where the ground, the actual concrete asphalt ground or gravel ground is a lot less forgiving than a matted environment. And you realize you do not want to be on the ground. Also, If you're on the ground in a non-quote-unquote ring competition environment, even more so if there's multiple simultaneous attackers, you do not want to tie it with one person on the ground when they have friends that are still on their feet.
100%. And we'll be getting into, well, what if you have a conceal and carry gun, or if you have a knife, how can that be an equalizer for you? How can you deploy it and use it in a way that gets you off the ground and gets you to safety? So we're going to be delving into everything that, I will bite you, scratch you, eye gouge you, do whatever I possibly have to do to survive that attack and get to safety. Wake the clock up. All right, let's get back to talking about Tic Tacs, not TikTok.
Yeah.
No.
Jeff, is this email correct for you?
What is it?
I don't know.
Actually, you could, the easier one, if you're on Defense by Design, is just jeff@defensebydesign.com.
Well, I'll do that.
Okay.
that. So this would be the website.
Yes. And just
Defense
put
by
Jeff,
Design.
yeah, just
Perfect.
jeff@defensebydesign.com.
I'll make that change. Okay.
Oh,
So
yeah.
while we're doing that, while I'm making that change, I'm going to go to the next video clip and we'll take a look at that. I know there's some more fascinating stuff. This trial, not trial, this hearing. It's fascinating. So,
it was. It's 2.5 hours well spent if you just watch the whole thing.
Absolutely. So, all right. So here's cut number 3.
What astonished you the most about the flight capabilities of these Tic Tac, very briefly?
The performance, absolute performance. It was.
And you're not aware of any other objects that anybody in the world has, in this world, that has those capabilities?
No, I think it's far beyond actually our material science that we currently possess.
Are you aware of any other reconnaissance platforms that have tracked or recorded the Tic Tac's maneuvers, maybe the NORAD system or any of the others?
I am not.
The most about the flight capabilities of these Tic Tac, very briefly.
The performance, absolute performance. It was.
And you're not aware of any other objects that anybody in the world has, in this world, that has those capabilities?
No, I think it's far beyond actually our material science that we currently possess.
Are you aware of any other reconnaissance platforms that have tracked or recorded the Tic Tac's maneuvers, maybe the NORAD system or any of the others?
I am not.
Okay.
Amazing. The science that we currently have. I'm impressed. So when they say follow the science, we don't have any science on this.
Yeah, there's no science to follow. And not only that,
Yeah.
but if you do a little bit of digging on Commander Fravor and what he's doing in his retirement years, he's not fully retired. So when he says this is beyond our scope of material science, he's in a position even more so now to know that with the new work he's involved in. I'll just leave it at that.
So back in 2004, the Tic Tac issue came to be.
Mm-hmm.
Why was that a game changer?
Because it was recorded on multiple sensory platforms. You had not only the Nimitz that was tracking by radar, you had another aircraft that was tracking on its radar. You had 4 sets of eyes on the initial situation when Commander Fravor and I think it's Lieutenant Dietrich came back, his wingman and their Wizzos came back. Chad Underwood was another pilot went out that actually captured the video that we call the Tic Tac video. He had his Wizzo in the back. So overall, you had 6 sets of eyes that saw the same object, as well as all these multiple sensory platforms. And if we just apply a little bit of extrapolation and not have to do much of a leap of logic, we probably know there was probably some satellite imagery from this as well. But the National Reconnaissance Office has not released any of that satellite imagery, but I would venture to guess it's there somewhere.
So I had a question that just popped into my head.
Oh, now we're in trouble.
We're in trouble. The technology that we have where we can get satellite imagery to crystal clear image of what's going on a street level or a building. The imagery that we're seeing is always all blurry. It's kind of like you're looking for Bigfoot. Yeah. Why can't they get a clear image of this?
Well, the comedian's joke to that is, well, haven't you heard all UFOs and aliens are blurry? That is their actual appearance. But yes, thank you for that. I'll be here all week. Try the deal. No, but when you actually consider what you're saying, it makes total sense that there is better imagery. And certainly there are numerous people in Congress who have been behind closed doors to see other images and videos that said, oh, yes, there's definitely better imagery that they've got, but we're not at liberty yet to release it. And that has been said over and over and over again. It's hinted at by Matt Gates when he went down to Florida. He and Representatives Luna and Burchett and saw what they did at Eglin Air Force Base. They said, oh, it was a lot better image, but we can't get it released. So there again, for those that would be their complaint, I would say there is better imagery. Release the dang files.
Okay, so that I just had a thought that popped into my head.
Not as scary as face, but okay, go ahead.
So if they've got the imagery, the better imagery for these UAPs, why don't we have the imagery for who left the cocaine in the White House?
Exactly.
You guys.
Sorry, this
You're
is
not going to pull me into this. You're not going to pull me into this.
Come on, Jeff.
Nope. I'm staying in my lane. I'm staying in my lane. I'm not in my tongue. I am guiding my tongue. I'm staying in my lane.
Oh, mercy.
We got to go to another break.
Yeah, we do. So, folks, in the meantime, if you want Jeff to come into your organization and share some ideas, not just about some of the UAP information that he's got that he's been tracking for all these decades, but also if you need some help and some guidance in the area of defense and proper protection for your event, your company, get in touch with Jeff. And Jeff at defensebydesign.com. Jeff, it is such a pleasure to have you. And I've got one last shout out that I've got to make. This show would not have been possible had it not been for Debbie Schofield, our official executive producer. She spent a lot of time helping us with all of these videos and putting this stuff together. So Debbie Schofield, you are the queen of everything. So you're amazing. So thank you very much. So it is time to go to another commercial. And speaking of out of this world and new technology, hang on.
We all hope to age gracefully so we can enjoy our later years full of energy, vitality, and good health. But so often with age, our bodies start to show signs that things just aren't as they used to be. Our energy, skin, healing and recovery time, sleep, it all just seems to go downhill. Introducing LifeWave X39, the world's first product ever to activate stem cells. A true breakthrough in regenerative science that helps restore our bodies to a healthier, more youthful state in a way no other product can. No drugs, no injections, no kidding.
And I am tickled to pieces to talk about this little stem cell patch. When you wear this guy 12 hours on, 12 hours off, it actually literally tells your own stem cells to go back to work, wake up, and start resolving some of the issues that you have. If you've got eye issues, if you've got liver issues, if you've got heart issues, the stem cells will go to whatever your body needs the most. This is truly revolutionary science. This particular product was developed about 5 years ago by David Schmidt with LifeWave. He's the founder and the inventor. But the company's been around for 19 years, coming up with more technology like this. And I am so thrilled to be part of this organization. So if you're dealing with pain, having trouble sleeping, if you'd like more energy, if you'd like rapid pain relief, I've got so many stories about that. If you'd like faster recovery from exercise, the X39 stem cell activation patch will do the trick for you. So I'm going to put my email up here in just a brief moment as soon as I can find it in my list of emails. So Ray, what's your buddy trying to tell us here?
Oh, he just wanted to see the commercial. He wanted to learn more about that, even though
I gotcha.
Grogu can heal people, but he wanted to know what that was all about. Grogu, go sit back down.
Yeah, that's good. So you can reach out to me personally. info@StephenReedMinistries.com. info@StephenReedMinistries.com. And Ray, in a couple of minutes, we'll put your email up there as well so people can get in touch with you. So,
Jeff,
back at it.
What about this case brought up at the Vandenberg Air Force Base? Walk us through that.
Wow, that was a new one for even those of us that follow this topic quite closely. That was brought forth by Ryan Graves, and just roll the clip and you'll understand why this was another one of those bombs they dropped and a true wow moment regarding why we probably should be taking this more seriously.
Honestly, guys, I don't know if it was clip 4 or 5.
It would be the last one.
The last one. So that would be
windy or anything out of the ordinary on the Pacific coast?
It was actually, if you're familiar with San Diego, it was a perfect day, light winds, no whitecaps, clear skies, not a cloud. It was, for flying, it was the best.
Now, is it true that you saw, in your words, a 40-foot flying tic-tac-shaped object?
That's correct. Or for some people that can't know what a Tic Tac is, it's a giant flying propane tank.
Fair enough. Did this object come up on radar or interfere with your radar or the USS Princeton?
The Princeton tracked it, the Nimitz tracked it, the E-2 tracked it. We never saw it on our radars. Our fire control radars never picked it up. The other airplane that took the video did get it on a radar. As soon as it tried to lock it, it jammed the radar, spit the lock, and he rapidly switched over to the targeting pod, which you can do in the F-18.
From what you saw that day and what you've seen on video, did you see any source of propulsion from the flying object, including on any potential thermal scans from your aircraft?
No, there's none. There's no IR plume coming out. And Chad, who took the video, went through all the EO, which is black and white TV, and the IR modes, and there's no visible signs of propulsion. It's just sitting in space at 20,000 feet.
In your career, have you ever seen a propulsion system that creates no thermal exhaust?
No.
Can you describe how the aircraft maneuvered?
Abruptly, very determinate. It knew exactly what it was doing. It was aware of our presence, and it had acceleration rates. I mean, it went from 0 to matching our speed in no time at all.
Now, if the fastest plane on Earth was trying to do these maneuvers that you saw, would it be capable of doing that?
No, not even close.
And just to confirm, this object had no wings, correct?
No wings.
Now, was the aircraft that you were flying, was it armed?
No, never felt threatened at all.
If the aircraft was armed, do you believe that your aircraft or any aircraft in possession of the United States could have shot the Tic Tac down?
I'd say no. Just on the performance, it would have just left in a split second.
It looks like that we have a problem here that needs further investigation.
That wasn't the clip we thought it was, but that was a great one from the Tic Tac incident in 2004 for sure.
Gotcha. All right. Well, with that said, let me go ahead and play the other video, and we'll see if this is the right one.
And what is your general interpretation of these phenomena, or what is your current thinking of trying to make sense of them?
Well, I'll say, I'm not like a UFO fanatic. It's not me. But I will tell you that what we saw with 4 sets of eyes over a 5-minute period, still, there's nothing, we have nothing close to it. It was amazing to see. I told my buddy I wanted to fly it, but yeah, it's just an incredible technology.
All right, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much.
I'm blown away at all of this stuff. I'm where do we start?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking the best of our best, flying the best of our best equipment. They're making these statements.
Well, and one of the other things too, Jeff, is he's talking about a 5-minute encounter. It's not one of those, 2-second anomalies, and you're thinking, what did I just see? Did I see that? But no, I mean, it's 5 minutes, and they're observing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, they were engaged. That's the military term. They were engaged with this object for 5 minutes. That's unbelievable. That's why it's probably the best documented case we've got on record.
I don't think we've got the video clip. Did one of the pilots say that he actually fears for his safety or his life for coming out with this information?
Well, he wasn't one of the pilots. The fellow you're talking about is David Grush, who was the whistleblower that really put this in motion. He was the fellow who was seated in the middle that we really haven't heard from on either side just yet. Well, we did briefly in one of the initial spots. And he was a former member of the National Geospatial Aeronautics Association, I forget all acronyms, and also the National Reconnaissance Office. He was an intelligence officer with a position to have access to this information. That's why he came forward. He said, listen, from my investigation, there's things here that have been withheld from Congress that Congress needs to be aware of. And that's why he blew the whistle. But he was not himself a pilot. He was involved in the intelligence community and brought that forward to the Inspector General of the intelligence community. And by the way, the gentleman that's sitting right behind David Grush in the hearing is Charles McCullough, that represented the law firm that represented him as he came forward under the whistleblower protection. But Charles McCullough himself is the original Inspector General of the intelligence community that was appointed by President Obama. He's the original, not OG, he's original IG. And he is now personally taking on representation of David Grush. This is the Inspector General Grush went to. This is the original Inspector General who is now representing him because he feels that this information is so vital to national security. What does that say?
So where do we go from here? I mean, we
go to hearings already since that hearing last week. Gates, Luna, Burchett, and Moskowitz, again, bipartisan, have put forward a motion to the to Speaker of the House. Just blanked on his name.
Kevin McCarthy,
to say we want to set up a subcommittee with subpoena power.
Oh, interesting.
We can sit down with David Grush, get the names, because Grush has said, I can give you specific names, departments, and contractors involved in this that are hiding information. I can give you the specifics. And so they want the power of subpoena from Congress to put those butts in the seats and say, tell us what you know.
Right.
So does that mean that they're going to have some tours to Roswell, New Mexico, and Area 51? And
personally, I don't think there's anything left in Roswell to see. There are some other sites, installations, and certainly some government contractors that are on the collective radars to go visit.
Right.
You can fill in some of those names without divulging a lot. Most people know the names. So I think that's going to be the real starting point. Plus, there's probably going to be another hearing, but this time it'll be in the Senate. They're looking at September. We'll see. There are going to be more hearings. There's no doubt about that. If you really watched the hearing, the one thing you picked up from everybody across both aisles, they're not happy with this. They realize they've been lied to, and they're not happy about that. They realize funds have been misappropriated. Whatever you think of the phenomena, something significant has been hidden, and monies have been moved and transferred and hidden to cover it up. And that's where Congress does have oversight, and they want it back.
So who's moving the money?
Huh?
Where are they getting the money? Is it CIA? Is it FBI?
No, Grush went through all of that in the hearing. If you listen to the full hearing, he actually dissected that and talked about how funds can be moved and hidden, and how, again, it's the whole thing about why do they pay $1,000 for a hammer? Why do they pay $3,000 for a buzzsaw? They don't. Okay. They take those funds and move things around.
Yeah, I got it. Makes sense.
We've got some comments from our producer, Miss Debbie. And one of them is, do you know what species or race of aliens are here?
No, nobody does. And the one thing Grush was very determinate about is staying away from the word alien. And a lot of people pressed for that. He used the word non-human intelligence. And even when he talked about the crash, he talked about biologicals. And he was asked, why are you staying away from the word alien? And he said, and remember, all these three of these guys were under oath. All of them were under oath. He said, I don't think we know enough, and I think we need to leave options open for further discussion. Because there again, there is also a hint at this. And one of the guys, the Republican representative from Missouri, he brought the point, and it's fair. This is fair, where he said, listen, if something can traverse the expanse of the universe and travel light years to get here, does it make sense for it to crash? Well, we make things that we think are pretty good, but on occasion they malfunction as well. But the other part that Grush and others have alluded to is there are other possibilities on the table. One is that this may be extra dimensional, both in the craft as well as its pilots. It also could be what they call ultra-terrestrial, which means it's existed on this planet alongside of us, if not longer than us, And there's a lot of information that hints at something coming from under our seas. So if it's something that's more terrestrial based, but just subterrestrial, that could explain why on the surface it may experience operational malfunction, shall we say. Because the other thing that was hinted at by Michael Schellenberger is another investigative journalist, and he's talked to other whistleblowers that may be coming forward, is that we have at least 12 or so of these craft, but not all of them were crashed. Some of them seem to have been just clearly abandoned. That's how they were able to capture them intact. So there are other options on the table. So we probably should be cautious about using that word alien or even extraterrestrial. It's a hypothesis, but it is by no means the only one.
Wow. And with that said, we need to take another quick break.
Probably.
Now your DFW events can be listed on the DFW events segment of OBBM Network News. New episodes posted each week are reaching people right here in your own backyard. Get in on this. Now it's affordable to reach thousands of people in new markets, offering exposure to your professional network like never before. Get us your listing by Tuesday at noon, and you'll be included in the following week's release on Monday. Email info@offbeatbusiness.com for our digital media kit and discover a better way to reach DFW. Not hosting events? Your business will benefit from the exposure our events list generates. Take advantage of brand exposure on the ticker or with the logo graphic, video advertisement, even a QR code. Click on our QR code to access our digital media kit now.
And not just in DFW, but nationwide, if you want to advertise through OBBM Network, which is our platform that we are using. We thank them so much for getting us up on Spotify and iTunes and Apple and iHeart and Rumble and all the other major platforms. So we're excited to be able to work with Susan. So anyway, guys, we are running very low on time. And I was notified by Debbie, our executive producer, that I missed one of the videos, video clip 6, and I just flat out missed it. So my bad.
But in your research, you dug up a whole bunch of other stuff, though.
Who, me?
Yeah, you. In your research, you dug up a whole bunch of images of previous aliens.
Yeah, I did, and all right, okay, Ray, I've gotten security clearance on this. Okay, so this is all top secret. Okay, these are some early images of aliens or whatever from back in the 60s and 70s. And here's the first one of the first known. This is one from back in the 70s. And
ironically, it looks like
an alien.
Ironically, it does look like a giant Tic Tac.
It does. It's amazing. And there's a close-up of it with his life partner, so to speak. That would be Mork and Mindy. And here's another one. So another space alien. And this was from back in the 60s. And here's his spacecraft. And, kind of looks like a big Tic Tac. So, man, it's just, there's a close-up of him. That would be Ray Walston and Bill Bixby earlier. My favorite. Everyone's favorite alien. Well, almost everyone's favorite alien. But Ray, I understand we've got one other favorite alien.
We got Marvin the Martian, and now we've got Mushy the Martian.
Mushy the Martian. And Mushy, I understand, goes with you to a lot of your events and really helps, especially the kids, feel a little bit more comfortable with self-defense things. So
with aliens too.
With aliens too.
See, Ray's conditioning them.
Yeah, man, no question. That's pretty good, Ray. I appreciate that.
Who do you really work for, Ray?
Yeah.
To that point, even though, okay, it was humorous and all, but to that point, one of the things that, whether or not you realize you just pointed out, is again, this is not an overnight phenomenon. Right. This has been spanning the collective consciousness of the American and not just American, but worldwide public for decades. So as humorous as some of those things were, it does point to the fact that we have had a collective fascination with this topic for many, many years.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I guess what you're saying, Jeff, is I can retire the tinfoil hat.
Yeah,
So
I think at this point it's just a plain old hat.
Yeah, it's not conspiracy theory anymore.
Between Star Wars, Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, and all of the other movies that have come out, the Guardians of the Galaxy and things like that. It's
even when we talk about some of the more outlandish, it seems things about extra dimensional, multi-universe, Marvel, DC, they've all been playing in these sandboxes. Yeah. And I think there's something to be said for that, in the fact that we really have had our collective consciousness and our consciousness aperture, if you will, widened to the point that we at least have a working understanding of what some of these concepts mean.
Right.
That is very true. That is very true. So, Jeff, it has been a delight having you on again. This is we're gonna have to do this on a regular basis.
We may have to, given all that's going on.
We have our latest UAP update from Jeff McKissick. So
you could be our man on the street interviewing people, asking
man
them
on the
what
moon.
they think.
You gotta wonder where Elon Musk fits in with all of the stuff that's going on.
He's been kind of interesting, silent for the most part, but then I don't know. There's some others who I don't want to mention. They're also out there in the public that say things that I think history is going to prove the point that you probably shouldn't have made some of those statements as bold as you did, because I think they're going to be eating some humble pie in the not so distant future.
Absolutely. All right, guys. With that said, we got to wrap things up. So, folks, thanks for joining us today on Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve, and today with Jeff McKissick, our special guest. So, share, like, subscribe, tell your friends about what we're doing, and send us emails, send us comments, questions on future subjects that you want us to talk about. Ray, closing comments?
Yep, check us out on Facebook. Check us out on YouTube. Of course, look up the OBBM network so that you can see us on all of the other social media platforms that they've got us on. And other than that, have a great rest of your week and keep your eyes in the sky looking for those special tic-tac objects.
And
your iPhone should get a better picture than what they have, so I don't know.
All right. Happy August, guys.
All right, be good.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve. If you have suggestions for topics you would like us to discuss, or you would like to become a sponsor, reach out to us today at tabootalkwithrayansteve@gmail.com. In the meantime, check out the other amazing programs on OBBM Network on all your favorite podcast platforms. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. Join us again for another fun and informative opinion-based episode. This is Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve.